Good Wednesday morning, Oswego, and welcome to Top in the Morning here. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Dan I. Our top stories this morning: 2 Syracuse neighbors go to the hospital after a car crash. Fire destroys a barn in New Haven, and Representative Dan Maffei plans to unveil a new bill helping small businesses. We'll have a more in-depth look at your top stories in just a moment. But first, a quick check of your weather to get you out the door with Chief Meteorologist Molly Matat. Good morning, Molly.
Good morning, Dan, and a very warm and pleasant morning to you, Oswego. As you can see from our Storm Team 10 current conditions, we are sitting at 40 degrees right now. Is it summertime in Oswego? I don't think I've seen a temperature upwards of 40 in a very long time here. However, if you are heading out to your morning classes, it'll feel more like 33 due to those winds out of the west at 12 miles per hour. But man, 33 is still above freezing. I can't believe it here in Oswego. As well as we pan to our regional radar, if we could just move that. There we go. As you can see, we have clear skies right now, and these will continue for at least the next 24 hours. We are looking at a beautiful day for Tuesday. No precipitation to speak of, mostly cloudy skies. Definitely some sun here in Oswego today with a high of 40 with winds out of the west at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Now, unfortunately, this great weather is going to be relatively short-lived as we have this strengthening winter storm starting to move into our area, sweeping across the Great Plains right now, dumping a lot of rain on areas. Now, it's going to be centered right along Ohio on Tuesday nights, and it's going to move eastward into Wednesday. And what this counterclockwise circulation is going to do is it's going to bring moisture up from the Atlantic Ocean and really cause some precipitation problems for our area. Wednesday is going to be a very rough travel day, especially in the morning and even into Thursday. So make sure you stay with Storm Team 10 for updates. I'll have a full track of this winter storm right after the break, as you can see from our 3-day forecast. Today's looking great. We see the heavy snow on Wednesday, definitely looking like a dismal day. However, it tapers off on Thursday. Thursday is especially cold with a high of 16, but we will have a taste of spring as we wrap up our midweek here in Oswego. I'll have a full look at your forecast right after the break, but for now, I'm going to send it back to the desk with Dan.
All right, thank you, Molly. A car crash sent 2 neighbors to the hospital with minor injuries yesterday afternoon. According to Syracuse Police, 49-year-old Tamara Chalk pulled out of her driveway into the path of Natalie Wilson, who lives right down the street from her. Both women were taken to Crouse Hospital, Chalk with neck pain and Wilson with head pain. Chalk was given a ticket for failure to yield the right-of-way. Several goats died in a barn fire yesterday in the town of New Haven. 10 fire departments responded to a call just before 7 o'clock in the morning to County Route 6. In addition to the 10 fire crews, McPhee Ambulance and the Oswego County Sheriff's deputies also responded to the scene. After approximately an hour, the fire was extinguished, but by then the goats had already died. Representative Dan Maffei plans to introduce a new bill today that will help Central New York businesses search for qualified employees. Part of Maffei's recommendations from last year, the Job and Opportunity Bonus Tax Credit Act will allow businesses with less than 500 employees a tax break to give them the ability to train their new employees. The act would cover 50% of the training and up to $5,000 per person. Well, recent studies have found that Alzheimer's may be the nation's 3rd most deadly killer, and more Americans die from the disease than previously thought. Now researchers have announced that they've discovered a new blood test that predicts if a person will develop this debilitating illness at an earlier age. Here's Carl Azuz with today's Health Minute.
It is estimated that as many as 5 million Americans may have Alzheimer's disease. The Alzheimer's Foundation of America also predicts that number will rise over the next decade because people are living longer. As of now, there is no cure. Now researchers led by a team from Georgetown Medical Center have developed a blood test that they say can predict with greater than 90% accuracy if a healthy person will develop Alzheimer's disease within 3 years. If confirmed, the study, which appears in next month's issue of Nature Medicine, is the first to unveil a blood-based test for diagnosing Alzheimer's in its earlier stages. Not only would people be able to know if they will develop the illness, the test could be used to design new treatments for the disease.
The test enables the identification of the high-risk people. You could then do the research to ask, do we now have a new therapy that could arise that could delay symptom onset?
The test identifies 10 lipids or fats in the blood that could predict disease onset. It could be ready for use in clinical trials in a few years. For today's Health Minute, I'm Carl Azuz.
We're going to take a quick break, but first take a look at this morning's sunrise sent in by WTOP's very own Lauren McHale. Stay with us. You're watching WTOP's Top in the Morning.
G-Morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me back. Hey, did you tell your parents about us? Let's skip first period together. Did you get all my texts? Is practice over yet? Where are you at? Are you with your friends? That's L-A-A-A-A-M-M-E-E-E. Capital X, lowercase o, capital X, lowercase o. I love you. JK. I hate you. JK. Are you ignoring me? We're in a huge fight right now. Is this something I did?
I can see your lights on. I'm coming over.
This isn't a What'd you dream about? Me? I'm lonely. Holla back. Holla back. Let's try something new. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
Welcome back here to Top in the Morning. Molly, Oswego has had a knack for canceling classes just a little bit too late recently.
We
just
always miss
after
it
the snow.
just a little bit, yeah.
What time is this system going into tonight and tomorrow? When is this really going to start to affect our area?
This is really going to start to affect us into the early morning hours. So those people with 8 a.m. classes, 9, 10s, anyone making a morning commute to work, your travel's really going to be impeded.
A little bit different from what we saw in the past few snowstorms where it started around 10 a.m.
Right, and it's important to know, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, that this is not lake effect, which we've been seeing here in Oswego. This is a synoptic event that's going to be very widespread. But before we get to that, I want to look at our current conditions right now, because we keep talking about the snowstorm that's going to hit us pretty soon, but right now in Oswego, we're at 40. It's like it's spring here in Oswego. It's like winter hasn't even ended. We're sitting at 40, but the real feel is at 33, which is still above freezing because of those winds out of the west at 12 miles per hour. We're going to have these great conditions all day. These great conditions are across the state as well. Mid to upper 30s for most of New York, 38 in Syracuse, 39 in Rochester, 39 in Binghamton and Poughkeepsie as well. Hot spot of 50 in New York City, and our cold spot isn't really all that cold in Albany at 35. I can't believe I'm saying that 35 isn't all that cold, but we've seen quite the cold winter. Now, your top weather headlines, the quiet weather does continue for today. It's going to be a great day. Make sure you get out there and enjoy it, because we do have a winter storm warning for 8 a.m. Wednesday into 8 a.m. Thursday. This nice weather is going to come to a pretty abrupt end, and we are looking at what seems like a true spring start to spring break, but I'll have that in just a couple minutes. Now, your national radar, as we pan out and look at the big picture, I really want to focus on this low pressure system that's right along the central plains right now. This is dumping a lot of rain in Minnesota into Wisconsin, and it's going to sweep across the nation and start to curve and affect our area into Wednesday. However, if we zoom into the regional radar for right now, as you can see, clear skies, quiet weather for right now. Definitely a great morning commute. If you have the opportunity, walk to class this morning. It's a beautiful day. Grab the sunglasses before you leave, because this is going to stay with us all day as we look for today's forecast. Mostly cloudy skies, high of 40 degrees. We are at 40 right now, and we are just going to stay there. We can even warm up a couple degrees with winds out of the west at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Now, let's take a look at why we have such great conditions right now. For Tuesday, this jet stream, this low pressure system, is moving right off to our east. We had a couple rain showers, a little bit of freezing rain last night. That's just going to push right off to the coast, and we are looking at a taste of spring for the rest of the day as that jet stream lifts to the north. Now, unfortunately for tonight, we hang on to our heat a little bit. We're looking at a low of 31, but the snow begins in the wee morning hours. You should be pretty clear if you have any evening plans today, but as we hit 3, 4, 5 a.m., as some of you are waking up early for classes or work, we're going to start to see that snow fall. And winds will be light, so we will not have too significant of a wind chill. Now, tomorrow, this is our really big weather maker, heavy and blowing snow. Not only will we see very large amounts of snow falling, but these winds out of the northeast at 10 to 50 miles per hour are going to pick up, and they're going to take any snow that's falling and kind of blow it all around and very much reduce visibility, and we're only going to top out at around 30 degrees. Now, this storm is very interesting, the path it's going to take. It's strengthening right now as it heads across the plains. It's going to be right to the south of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois on Tuesday night. Going to move on to the east on Wednesday Thursday, and this counterclockwise circulation is going to bring this moisture from the Atlantic and really kind of dump it on our area. Now, we're all going to see a very interesting transition with this storm. We're all going to start out with rain because, as you see from today, we have highs in the 40, so by the time the precipitation starts to make landfall here, it's not going to be quite cold enough to see snow. Now, as those temperatures do drop, we're going to see a little taste of this rainy winter mix. However, by the time we enter Wednesday morning and we continue into Thursday, we in the northern sector are going to see mainly snow and very large accumulations at that. Let's look at the AccuWeather snowfall map. We are in the 6 to 12 inches right now. The heavier snow is going to be along northern New England as that low pushes right off to the north. However, accumulations for the snow, I want to stress, are very tricky for this kind of situation. Depending on temperatures, if we're a little bit warmer than we thought, we're going to see more freezing rain, and that means that these accumulations are going to go down. We could be closer to 6 inches. However, if we cool down a little bit faster, any precipitation that falls is going to be a wet snow, and that's going to increase accumulations, and we could see upwards of a foot. So make sure that you stay with Storm Team 10 and WTOP for more updates on this storm as it makes landfall. Now let's look a little bit later in the week. As you can see, this cold pocket of air, that's going to sweep through us on Thursday, and Thursday is looking mighty cold. However, as we head into Friday, the jet stream lifts once again. We get this beautiful taste of spring, and the start of our spring break actually does look like spring. We have a high of 39 on Friday as the snow moves out. But as you can see, today's beautiful. We have that snow move in, and look at how cold Thursday is. 16 is our high, with 7 our low. Those wind chills are going to drop to -15 to maybe even -25. So make sure you bundle up on Thursday. But as you make your commute home after classes on Friday and into Saturday, we can see that we are looking at very spring-like conditions for spring break. Back to you, Dan.
All right, thank you, Molly. And while Oswego is dealing with another chance at freezing and more snow going into midweek, farmers in Washington, Illinois are battling more than just the frozen ground this year. Farmers say they are still finding debris on the fields from November's tornadoes that could seriously damage farm equipment. Some farmers say that they will be finding leftover debris for the next few years, even potentially, as they continue to grow their crops. Well, a man accused of kidnapping and murdering a Tennessee woman is set to make his first court appearance today. Zachary Adams is charged in the death of Holly Bobo. The nursing student was last seen in April 2011. She was 20 years old. So far, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has not indicated whether any remains have been found. Search crews and dogs were seen near Adams' home on Saturday. And well, now we'll take a look at what's going on in Oswego with Rob Hackford.
Thanks, Dan. Tobacco, nicotine, and e-cigarettes have been national items of debate. A bill restricting e-cigarette advertising targeting children has been co-sponsored by New York State Senator Charles Schumer. And in Syracuse, the city is looking at the possibility of declaring entire smoke-free zones. The close-to-home nature doesn't stop there, however. During the 2013 session of the New York State Legislature, a vote to create a tobacco-free SUNY school system failed to pass. The policy aimed to unify SUNY campuses as promoters of healthy environments in which tobacco use would be regulated. With no indication that the bill will be pushed for reintroduction, I wanted to take a look and see what the Oswego campus felt.
Melting snow means spring is on the way, but what's popping up aren't flowers, but hundreds of cigarette butts. And winter snow-buried cigarette receptacles make ridding of your smoke difficult, and hiding from the elements in an alcove like these around Penfield Library provides you with an easy discarding place, the ground. SUNY Oswego does currently have a smoking policy, but what would a tobacco-free campus mean for you?
Of the 20 people I interviewed across campus, I only encountered one individual who regularly used tobacco products. Now this at 5% is well below the national average of 20%, meaning the Oswego campus is seemingly more tobacco-free.
But what if a policy was implemented?
I think I would be fine if there were designated smoking areas because there are, of course, people who smoke in areas and get obviously that too. So there are still people who do it, and I think it's kind of unfair to them to completely ban it from the campus
Well, Rob, I was walking into the library the other day, actually, and I couldn't help but notice where the snowbanks had started to recede and started to melt away. It was just a pile of cigarette butts, and that also reflects poorly on the school when you have tour guides and new students coming in and possibly looking at the school to have this. It's a bit of a detriment to the school to have that right outside the library.
Yeah, it's not only a concern of health, but also cleanliness around campus. I mean, getting that all over your shoes, or even so, it turns into a pulp, basically, as people walk over it, so it's definitely a concern for the campus.
And certainly not something that you want to see, even though the library, we know, especially around these weeks, a place that can cause stress, and that's what I would assume would lead to the amount of cigarette butts there. Well, thank you very much, Rob, for joining us. So far, a law enforcement official says that they've seen nothing to cause concerns as they look into 2 stolen passports used by passengers of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Those passengers gave their fingerprints at check-in, and the FBI is running those prints through its database. Meanwhile, Andrew Spencer reports for the search for the Boeing 777 that disappeared between Malaysia and China and how it's getting progressively harder.
The longer a missing passenger jet stays missing, the more difficult the search becomes.
With every day that passes by, a crucial time is passing. That search area, that haystack, is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
More than 3 days after Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 took off from Kuala Lumpur, crews from 10 countries on 40 ships and more than 3 dozen aircraft had found nothing. Chinese officials arrived in Kuala Lumpur on Monday to press the Malaysian government to intensify the search and speed up the investigation. The majority of the passengers on the Beijing-bound flight were from China or Taiwan. The news that American Philip Wood is among those missing has come as a shock to his brothers.
We're taking it sometimes an hour at a time, sometimes just a minute at a time, but we're holding together.
The use of stolen passports with these 2 tickets has fueled talk of a potential terrorist plot.
Kuala Lumpur has been a transit point for terrorism in the past. 2 of the 9/11 hijackers, Midhar and Hamzi, ultimately were surveilled by the CIA in 2000 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
But if it was terrorism, where's the debris field or a claim of responsibility? The stolen passports may have just been used for illegal immigration, and the plane may have crashed due to pilot error or mechanical failure. Until and unless the flight data and voice recorders are found, the disappearance of Flight 370 may stay a mystery. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
Coming up after the break, we'll have Chelsea Frisbee with your latest entertainment news and another look at your forecast. Stay with us. You're watching WTOP 10's Top in the Morning.
Hey guys, this is my teenage friend Fred.
Rad! Hey pal, you want to pay attention to the road?
Relax, man, I got it.
Look, my man, if your bad driving gets me killed, you better hope you die too, or I will haunt you silly. And I'm not just gonna float over your bed like, woo! I'm gonna be making a more annoying noise, like, ah! And instead of wearing those long white robes, I think I'll wear something more form-fitting and upsetting. The other ghosts will look and be like, wow, we've never seen that before.
Hi, I'm CNN's Rob Marciano, and you're watching WTOP 10, your television station.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
Molly, the very first thing I said to you when I came into the office this morning is, what are we going to see in terms of total accumulation? Same question stands. What are we going to see?
That's what everyone wants to know. How much snow is Oswego going to see in the middle of March? Now, accumulations for this storm is going to be a little tricky. If we stay on the warm side and we get more freezing rain, that means we're not going to see as much snow accumulation come Thursday. It will impede travel, but not as much accumulation. Now, if we stay on the cold side and we cool off a little bit quicker than we're thinking, we could see upwards or up to a foot of snow. But again,
there's a lot of variables going into this.
A whole lot of factors factoring into the storm. But before we get to the winter mess that's coming on Wednesday, I want to take a look at our current conditions right now because it is beautiful. We are sitting at 40 degrees right now. It's like it really is the calm before the storm, if you want to put it that way. We have mostly cloudy skies. The sun will be with us today in Oswego with winds out of the west at 12 miles per hour. Dropping those temperatures down to 33, which is still above freezing here in Oswego. Now, this warmer trend is staying with us along the state. 38 in Syracuse, 39 is the magic number for Rochester, Binghamton, and Poughkeepsie. Our hot spot is down in New York City, and our cold spot is 35 in Albany. Really not that cold at all if you look at what we've been seeing for this past winter season. Now, your top weather headlines. The quiet weather does continue today. We're looking at a beautiful Tuesday here in Oswego. Make sure you get out and enjoy it because it will come to a pretty abrupt end as we head into Wednesday morning. We have a winter storm warning from 8 a.m. Wednesday to 8 a.m. Thursday. So both morning commutes for both days, you're going to want to watch out for those slippery winter conditions. And we will have a start to spring break that really is like a spring break, and I'll get to that in just a second. But before we get to that, I want to look at this weather maker that's sweeping across the plains right now. It's dumping a lot of rain in Minnesota and Wisconsin. That's going to continue down through the nation, sweep up, and start to affect us on to Wednesday. But before we look at that, I want to look at why today is so beautiful. As you can see, this other low pressure system that gave us a couple spotty showers last night, moving right off the east coast, nothing to worry about in the means of precipitation because our jet stream is lifting to the north, and we will see a pretty beautiful taste of spring today. As we look at your forecast, we are looking at mostly cloudy skies again, highs in the 40. We're already at 40, so we could bump those temperatures up just a little bit. Oop, if we could go back to that one. Now, I want to talk about the strengthening winter storm really quick. The low pressure system moves south of us by Wednesday. That counterclockwise circulation's going to bring in a whole lot of moisture. Looking at accumulations, this one's for you, Dan, 6 to 12 inches for our area and most of New York, but again, those accumulations could go up or down depending on our condition, so make sure you stay with Storm Team 10. One last thing, I want to take a look at Thursday. Thursday we're kind of forgetting about. As this low pressure system moves off to the east, that counterclockwise circulation is going to bring that cold air in from Canada, and especially with those biting winds, we are looking at highs in the upper teens for Thursday and wind chills dropping all the way down to -15. So make sure you bundle up for Wednesday for the snow and Thursday for the cold. Now, as we look at your 5-day forecast, Wednesday and Thursday are our comeback of winter. But look at Friday. As you wrap up your classes, we could see highs upwards into the 40s for Friday. And as we head into the weekend of spring break, we are looking at great, great spring conditions. Dan?
Thanks again, Molly. Well, the 21st annual South by Southwest Festival is underway in Austin, Texas. The festival has become the place to preview the technology of tomorrow. And what's catching the eye of many is being able to print your food. This machine is giving a whole new meaning to cookie cutting. It's called the Oreo Trending Vending Machine. Powered by Twitter, the machine allows South by Southwest attendees to create custom Oreo cookies based on trending social conversations. Users choose from 12 flavors and colors of cream. Using 3D technology, the machine assembles the unique Oreo in less than 2 minutes. It's a step up in giving the customer what they want. Mondelez International, the makers of Oreo, and Twitter partnered to create and showcase the Oreo Trending Vending Machine. And now we'll have your entertainment news with Chelsea Frisbee.
8 years ago, when animal expert and crocodile hunter Steve Irwin was killed by a tragic stingray accident, the exact details were never released. Now, Irwin's so-called right-hand man and the only person to not only witness but also film Irwin's final moments is speaking out. In an interview with an Australian morning show, Justin Lyons describes how reports of Irwin goading the stingray for TV purposes are completely false and believes that the animal thought he was a tiger shark. Lyons went on to describe the attack in detail, but perhaps the most difficult to stomach is Irwin's final moments. As Lyons is telling him to hold on and think of his kids, Irwin's last words were, "I'm dying." Terry Irwin, Steve's widow, claimed years ago that the tape of the accident was destroyed. And in much lighter news, How I Met Your Mother fans deserve some sort of award for patience. After 9 seasons, the show is coming to an end. We already know who the mother is, but why all the details, Ted Mosby? With such a build-up, the internet is exploding with theories about how the show will be ending. Could the mother be dead and Ted is trying to give his kids the full story? Did she leave him and he's trying to get her kids back through his kids? Or, my personal favorite, Ted is insane and is talking to his imaginary children he created while living in a mental institution. Place your bets now and we will find out on March 31st at 8 p.m. on CBS. Your internal middle schooler may rejoice. A Mean Girls reunion is officially in the works. Lindsay Lohan, who starred in the blockbuster hit, was on Jimmy Fallon Thursday and talked about a reunion, and many thought it was a hoax. Turns out Lohan was the last to know about it, but co-writer Tina Fey wants to commemorate the film's 10 years anniversary and bumped into Lohan and casually mentioned it. It is still unclear how the reunion will come together. Fallon offered to host the event on his show, but some are thinking a comedy sketch or during an award show may be more fitting. Multiple members of the cast are already on board, including cool mom Amy Poehler, Daniel Franchese, aka Too Gay to Function Damien, and Rajiv DJ Kevin G. Sorenda. No word yet if after 10 years fetch has happened. And in your weekly Bieber update, Biebs had a bit of a temper tantrum this week while being under oath. A photographer claiming that Bieber had his bodyguard attack him last summer and is suing for damages. Besides closing his eyes in an attempt to tune the questions out, Bieber shoots back lines like, "Okay, Katie Couric," and "I don't have to listen to anything you have to say," even saying, "I was found on YouTube. I think that was detrimental to my own career." His lawyers later corrected him and the record, saying he meant to say instrumental, not detrimental. Bieber brings a whole nother level to the term hostile witness in the video.
All right, thank you, Chelsea. Well, we need to take one last break, but when we come back, we'll have a final look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Molly Matat. But first, take a look at what celebs are celebrating a birthday today. Stay with us. You're watching WTOP's 10's Top in the Morning.
Everyone has friends. There's online friends, friends to go out with on a Saturday night, friends to hang out with and do nothing, friends who show up on moving day. And then there are the friends who'll be there if someone is dealing with a mental illness. Are you one of those friends?
Teaching a kid football is one thing. Keeping a kid in school, that's the name of my game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.